Hello, everybody. It's 9 o'clock, actually 9:03, as we get off into a new week. It's Monday. It's January 13th. And this is Jimmy Photo, aka Kodak. They used to call me Kodak when I was running around the soccer fields with the USA soccer people on their European tour, which they asked me to take photos of all their people. U12 through U19, meaning under 19, under 12, U13, U14, U15. So I made sure I covered, all the age groups and try to get everybody in some shots, because all those kids have parents somewhere. So you want to make them all happy if you can. Yeah, which is not an easy task, may I say. Now you can see me over here on the right side of your screen if you've got high definition TV in your life. And here's the day and date from my calendar. Sorry I haven't been with you for a few days. I wasn't feeling well. I had a little cough and cold, and kind of getting over it now. I found a few 4 antibiotic pills in my medicine cabinet. I have a doctor's appointment on the Friday, the 17th, early in the morning. It's either 8 or 9 o'clock, somewhere in there. They usually call a few days in advance, say, "You sure you're going to be there?" They don't want to miss a time slot, I'm telling you. They pack them, rack them, and stack them with these doctors. There's never a moment's rest. So Marilyn wants to know when it is, because she's got to make special arrangements with the bank to have someone, a floater. They don't call them floaters. I don't know what they call them. Marilyn used to manage 45 floaters for, I believe it was Palm Beach and Broward counties. So a team of floaters, one by one, is assigned to branches as they call in with people that are going to be sick that day. So what they do is they call in a floater and say, "Hey, you're assigned to branch number 37 out there in Palm Beach County," or whatever. They have a way of designating which branch is which branch. The Palm Beach Glades branch, the East Boca branch, the West Boca branch, the South, you know what I'm saying. But can you imagine every morning, starting at around 6 or so, these floaters are assigned to each branch because of call-ins that they're going to be out. in the ancient days of banking, if we needed 5, then we always had 6 full-time people. We just hire up and put them in there, and then if one person's out, then we got 5, and that's what we needed anyway. Or, apparently it's not as efficient payroll-wise as, if each branch in a big bank hires up one person on their staff just because they're worried about someone calls in sick or vacation times, all that. You got full coverage. But with a floater system, everyone hires up their branches to exactly what they need. And if someone calls out sick, they're calling out to the floater manager, which used to be Maryland, 10 years ago. And she would assign Robert to the West Boca branch. And you'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as we have a person out on vacation. You're expected to do X, Y, Z. And these floaters are trained to do most of the skills that are represented in a branch. Like operational skills, sales skills, telephone skills, audit skills, you name it. Anyway, so top on the news, which I'm sure, unless you just arrived from Saturn, the news of the day, other than, look at this, these are moonshots, taken with this right here. There we go, the iPhone Pro Max. 16. iPhone Pro Max. iPhone 16 Pro Max. There you go. Got to get the words in the correct order. Well, look at this. Right out of your pocket, you get a picture of the moon. And you can see the shaded areas, where they got impacted with, meteorites over millions of years. There's a not so good one. But, whoops. Where's, here, this is a good one here. So that gives you an idea. That's unbelievable. Now, to get a moonshot like this, like I took these yesterday, you can see up in the top there, it says 5:26 p.m. So, and you can see by this lighted top of the roof of a building catty corner across the street from our glorious location at Royal Palm Place. I'm on the 8th floor. This is a 9-story building that you're looking at. Whoops. Come on, boy. There we go. And if I pull up on that shot, see, there I get the camera information. Apple iPhone 16 Pro Max JPEG picture. You set your camera setting to most compatible. Okay? Not the HCIF, which is a special Apple compression technique, which is supposed to be better than JPEG. Well, bupkis. The problem with HCIF photos is some systems you can't email. In other words, the recipient if they're Windows people, Samsung people, so to speak, they can't receive an HCIF photo. It won't email, or it won't text message either. So the easy solution, JPEG is a fairly decent compression algorithm. And when you take a picture, you'll see JPEG right smack in the middle, go all the way across, and you see JPEG right there, JPEG. That reminds me that I'm on the most compatible mode. The camera, you go to the camera icon and go to the settings inside the camera icon, and you can set it to most compatible. Notice the telephoto camera, it's 120 millimeter f2.8. Yeah, that was ISO 50. The shutter speed, 759 thousandths of a second. That's that's like almost a thousandth of a second, a little less. The camera automatically adjusts the ISO, which is at 50, and the shutter speed. So if it was a little darker, the ISO would go up to 400 or 1600 or whatever. ISO 50 is a very low number. It's as low as it goes, actually, I think. It gives you the highest quality color. I don't know, I think this, so I left, this one, I made sure I had the rooftops of the building across the street, the peak of the building across the street, this little quadrant, so that you get a sense of how high in the sky the moon is. Now, my experience is, to take pictures of the moon, when the sky is black, when it's 8 o'clock in the evening or something or other, that kind of an image is too contrasty. It's black on white, but if you take the picture, if you're fortunate enough to think about taking a picture of the moon, we look outside our balcony, at 5:30 one evening, and we said, "Ooh, there's a moon." It's a faint white against a blue sky because it's early in the evening, but the sun is still up. It's setting in the western skies. We face east. So here I dolled it up a little bit, increased the contrast, increased the hue, to get that blue sky against the white moon. And of course you can, reverse pinch. And look at that. This is like with a big telescope. And it's not. It's my iPhone. So I just want you to know, you can take amazing telephoto shots. I get a lot of phone calls for charities and all this. We donate to a couple of charities. The Bowls for Honors, T2T.org. T, Tunnel to Towers. T2T.org. You click the enter, and it gets you to, the T2, the Tunnels for Towers website, and there's a place where you can. We're set up on an automatic every month donation of a certain amount, and the other thing we do is the Danny Thomas Hospital for young children who have life-threatening early age diseases. You know, can you imagine you got this beautiful little kid, 3 years old, and it's got cancer, bone cancer in the leg, and they got to amputate the leg. Oh, you know, there's some people that, you know, don't have, you know, the husband is works on has his own company. He's a plumber or something, you know, and he's not part of a big insurance network. He's got his own company. So this kid, you know, would potentially not survive this condition unless the kid gets an operation right away. And some families can't deal with that economically. So they won't get the proper medical attention. You know, the kid's just got a sore leg, and it gets more and more sore, you know, as cancer grows in their little bodies. And because they're not getting the proper medical attention, by the time they figure out what the problem is, it's too late. Anyway, so the Danny Thomas medical charity for Children's Hospital is a charity that so we do those two. They're on automatic monthly debits to our debit card. So, you know, instead of making a lump sum charitable contribution, which you can do also, we make it monthly, every month. They like it because they know, you know, it's like an account receivable, you know. Here's a shot of a little kitty cat. He's got his turn head upside down. He's got one ear open. You know, he's a big whisker guy. A boy cat. Yeah. Kino is his name. Yep. We name our pets after global coffees. We had two little min pins named Mocha and Latte. And I had two little kitty cats, Kenya and Kino. Oh boy. Anyway, so President-elect Trump got sentenced by the Manhattan court that found him guilty of calling a legal expense in his general ledger a legal expense. Only in America can the liberals prosecute a former president. Went through the whole jury trial. I mean, what a mess. Because he called a legal expense a legal expense. He hired a lawyer to do a non-disclosure agreement for Stormy Daniels, and she signed an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. I mean, it's a very common practice for wealthy people to settle matters, you know, out of court with their personal attorneys. You know, so because, you know, wealthy people are constantly being chased by people in the legal system. Not lawyers, but, you know, complainants. And Trump then becomes the defendant. So he hires an attorney to deal with these people, which are nuisances in a way. When you got a guy that's worth $5, $6, $8 billion, you know, he's got his own ride airplane. Yeah, you know the guy's wealthy. I mean, and, you know, this can be a misnomer, but he does have his own 757 outfitted. You know, he probably spent $6-7 million redoing the entire interior of his 757 to account for his travel, personal travel, and he calls it Trump Force One. He's got his Trump name all over the front end of the big TRUMP. It's worth $100 million. Yeah, he's got it outfitted with a bedroom and, you know, with a shower and a dressing area, you know, so he can get out of his golf outfit and put on his coat and tie outfit. You know, you do that right in the airplane. So between meetings, he goes back and forth to, you know, the private hangar where he has his plane, his twin-engine jet with Rolls-Royce engines. Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to have to see up here the delayed broadcast is showing instant replays on some exciting, you know, pass and run plays. Oh my God. Guy runs through the whole front line. Full court mess. Anyway. That's what Jonathan Turley, you know, called the verdict. So the judge sentenced him to, you know, no jail time, no probation time, and no financial penalty, no fines. So that's what happened on the 10th. And of course, he gets inaugurated on the 20th. Yep. Which is a Monday, I believe. Yeah. Because my doctor's appointment is on the 17th, which is a Friday. Yeah. Look at this California fire stuff is disgusting. That's some of the LA fire department are saying the fire hydrants, they're opening them up and they're empty. There's no water pressure in fire hydrants. Well, it's kind of hard to put a fire out, you know, when there's no water in the fire hydrants. That's just terrible. So instead of 5-alarm fire, it's a 5-alarm fury. And what that refers to is when you have a very serious fire, like of course the California ones are, they get help from 5 fire departments, you know, to try to put the fire out. Well, they haven't been able to put the fire out. And as of last Friday, the death toll was 16. Let's see. I think the death toll now is up to 24. So as, they go through these burnout neighborhoods, street by street, house by house. There are no houses. It's just you can see the lot. You can see the lots because of the ash pattern. Can you imagine? That's what you see when you look at the aerial photographs. You see, it looks like burial grounds. Well, some people died in their houses. There are like 50,000 people that were displaced. Well, those are just numbers. That's 50,000. Sheesh, that's a lot. I'm a pad open here, as you can see. Yeah. Ready for action. There we go. Let's see what I got going with Amazon. Do I have anything coming? Oh, I hit this button, then I hit orders. What's coming? Oh, some sea salt. Running out of kosher, coarse sea salt. Coarse grain sea salt is like the salt that they spray on your streets when you live up north and you're about ready to get a snowstorm or an ice storm. Yeah. This is a sea salt 2-pack. And each let's touch that again, yeah. Then I can reverse pinch. Each bottle is a 1 pound bottle. So, you put the salt in your water when you make pasta. So this kind of salt you use for, when you make spaghetti sauce, you put some salt in it. You can get fine. Or you can get coarse. Yeah. Anyway, so from AVA Farms, that's where I get my sea salt. Kosher sea salt. Blessed by Rabbi Levovitz. Isn't it? I got these. Yeah, you can get it also in a 3-pound box for $12, $13. We also get this fine sea salt. See, here's Morton. This is how they package theirs. You see, one's coarse and one's fine. This salt does not supply iodine. And it's been a quality brand since 1848. Oh my God. That's a long time ago, huh? And then you can get this Himalayan coarse and fine pack. This pink salt from the Himalayan source of sodium chloride, NaCl, the chemical, what we call the chemical makeup of salt, sodium and chlorine. What an odd combination. And what does it come up with? all the salt that's in the ocean. You know, can you imagine? The Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, it's all salt water. The planet is surrounded, the land masses are surrounded by salt water. Slightly different composition of different kinds of ions. You know, when you go into the Gulf of Mexico, the salt content is actually a little bit higher, a little higher concentration. Because, it's a closed off area a little bit on a couple sides. And it's a highway for hurricanes coming right up through the Gulf of Mexico and slamming into, the panhandle of Florida or, New Orleans. Seems like they're always, last year they were getting whacked like crazy, with these storms. Or if a hurricane comes up around the Atlantic basin, threatening the eastern edges of the United States. A couple of weeks ago, we got these neat little, you can't see them on this. Oh yeah, here's my easy way to get to Amazon. I'm going to touch this button here. My orders. So you can see this. Yeah. We got these table lights. Look how neat they are. They have the light coming out these little caps on the top. Down here is a base. It's weighted a couple of pounds. It's got some lithium polymer batteries, 6,500 milliampere hours, which will run those lights on high blast for about 12 hours. We don't set them on full blast. They have an infinite variation in light intensity, but they have three different colors. You can have 3,000 degree Kelvin, 5,000 degrees Kelvin, and 8,000 degrees Kelvin. 8,000 is super white, and the 3,000 has a warm amber coloration to it, like if you had your lights on a dimmer. So we have 4 of those, and we spread it on our on the runways that Marilyn has on our dining room table. I didn't know whether she wanted to put all 4 out there or 2. And then the notion was 2 are charging while 2 are on display. And then you just keep swapping. But she wants all 4 of them out there. So that's good. I'll make notion there. You can have 3 or 2. It's your choice. So right now we're got all 4 of them out there. So whenever we have company, she fires them up to have this gentle lightning on our dining room table. We don't have any ceiling light, hang down that's illuminating the dining room area. And we don't have any big lamp, floor-based lamps in the dining room corner, because we have other things decorating the corner of the room. So these lights are like perfect. If you're gonna, have a dinner, the boys over for dinner, or have guests for dinner, So we pull out the dining room table and spread it with, our dining room table thing has, let's see, eight chairs, handmade chairs and upholstered chairs. We have it set up for, 4 or 5 seating. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's set now for 6 chairs. And we have 2 in our den room, which I'm sitting on one of them. Yeah. So that makes the 8. Yeah. So I think we could have dinner for 10. But I think our table handles 8, actually. 3 on each side, on the long sides, and then 1 on each end. 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. But we have it set now for 6, and we have 2 of the chairs in our den. Marilyn has her desk area, on the back side of. We got the 6-foot table, and it's 4 feet across, 4 by 6. So I got this 2 feet, and Marilyn has the other 2 feet. So in this 2 feet, I created this little studio thingy with iPads and black table napkins. That house all my stuff. I got a MacBook Pro sitting back here. I have a soundboard, which you can see. There you are. These controls, this right here, this controls the volume in my headset. Yep. So I can hear myself talk, in case I'm the only one listening to me. Yeah. It's a little movie thing about these lights. You can see they're waterproof. There we go. Yeah. Waterproof design, they say. Waterproof. So, if you had them, we have them out on the round table we have out on our patio. It starts raining. These things can handle the rain. There's the picture of them. Unlimited control. Battery lasts 15 to 72 hours, depending on how bright you have the lights set to. And there's 4 different ways you can use them. Suggestions. There's an underneath view of the covered with an acrylic, hazy white. But the LEDs light up different colors for the different degrees of Kelvin. And you can see it's 12.8 inches tall. Yeah, and the base is 4-inch circle, basically. All right, so that's the lighting thing. So we have these disturbing. No, I don't want to go there. I want to go here. I have some. Yeah, I mean, look at this. So you look at that, and you're attracted to the red car that's in the street that goes across these lots. And if we zoom in a little tighter, look at that. There's a van kind of thing parked inside the garage. There's enough. Oh God, these cars, they've been fire blasted. Yep. So you don't notice, it just looks like a bunch of rubble. But if you zoom in tighter, you can see within this rubble, there's actually a vehicle. Now this apparently is someone in a car that was proven to be, an owner of a piece of property in this flash zone. So he'll back out of that street and go to his hotel. Yeah. And you can see these big concrete columns. And that's the only thing standing. Everything else is, This is apparently a shopping center area. As you can see these iron beams. They're still there. Because, some of them are bent, whatever. But, you can see the white iron beam coming up, and then it's attaching to these iron beams that are outlining the roof area of the shopping center, which is gone. And these are van things that were parked in the street in front of the shopping center. Only bad news is the shopping center is gone. Los Angeles wildfire death toll surges to 24. Well, I have a feeling it's going to go up a lot higher than that. It has to. When you have, an evacuation zone that, covers, with 50,000 people that have been evacuated. And, the governor of the state and, the mayor and the county commissioners, they all need to be fired. I mean, this is obviously, it borders on criminal. Can you be that stupid? You don't have to be an expert in everything, to be a mayor. It's more than just a title, figurehead, yada, yada. You have the responsibility for the public safety of the jurisdiction that you got elected into the office of. You take an oath of office. I shall, and they list everything. And they should say, I shall, or else, But, these liberal states, they're, more interested in, the number of black people that you hire, all this. DIE, diversity. Yeah. And the last one is equity. You know what that means? You take money from the rich and give it to the not so rich. You equalize the equity. So instead of hiring the best people, we have to hire some people that we're giving them the equity, since they didn't have as easy a path as you have had as a person that's looking for this job, political position or appointed position. So they hire people to fit a certain diversity formula rather than hiring the best people. And that's exactly why these kinds of situations come up. Because the people that have the finest background wouldn't let this happen. I'm going to go in here and do a little, I already did. Trying to get, this is water and it should be white. It's not exactly white. That's green. That's purple. That's about right. Yep. The wildfire, and the battle's not over. These people get caught in these flash fires if they're in a car. Bam. They become dead. Everyone want to know what the weather outlook is this week. Today it's going to be sunny. 63 to 79. Yeah. So the temperature range was 60 to 80. And you can see that little dip. That means it's currently 63. Whenever I did this screenshot, and that was at 7:30 this morning, just before Marilyn went to work, she says, "What is the weather outlook?" I said, I actually don't know. Let me get one of these panels from the internet. Yeah. Tuesday, 64 to 75. A couple of clouds. Wednesday, partly sunny, 62 to 71. Thursday, 40% chance of rain, 60 to 70. 59 to 72. 67 to 77. How about that for a temperature range, huh? Woo! And Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week, rain in the forecast every day. But this week, Thursday, Friday, we have 40% chance of rain. But that means you have a 60% chance that it'll be sunny. And here's these lovely couple with masks on looking at their house. It isn't there anymore. And the police are telling these people to don't walk through there because there may be contaminants, poisons. And they can see from that terrible sight that they're, all these homes are 3 million and up, in these certain areas. Some of them are not. Some of them are, lower priced neighborhoods, neighborhoods that were created, 30, 40 years ago. And the parents gave the children the house. What a nice thing to have happen. And then look what happens. House gone. Hopefully they have fire insurance. About 25% of the people have insurance. That has the fire factor in there. It's kind of like insurance over here in the East Coast of Florida. The HO5 policy with wind insurance, to cover you for flood and wind. Or I think you've got to buy the flood policy separate. It costs like $300. It's a government policy. Covers the flood. In case you get flooded. You got a storm surge at 28 feet and you're anywhere near the coast. Your house could get washed over. Which means it's basically got to be pulled apart and rebuilt because of the mildew and so forth. They don't bulldoze it, over here because the concrete block walls will be, assuming they're still erect. So they make you tear the house away from the concrete walls. And the floor is a concrete slab. So you got the exterior walls and the floor. And that's it. Everything inside gets gutted. And of course the roof is gone because of the storm surge. When they tell you to open up a window on the leeward side of your house, which means if the wind is blowing west to east, from the west to the east, you open up, a window and a sliding glass door on the east side of your house. You know why? Because if the windows blow in on the west side of your house, the pressure will increase in that house until the roof blows off. If you're ever wondering, how do these roofs come off? Because they didn't have, let's say they evacuated the area. So if the winds are going to come from west to east, let's say, and you open up the sliding glass door on the east side. So let the pressure out. So if the hurricane breaks windows on the west side of your house, then you open up windows and doors on the east side of your place so that the pressure that would be building up in the interior of your residence is balanced by allowing the air pressure to flow out the doors on the east side. That's the reason. It's to keep the roof from blowing off. So, if you got a pressure of 3 or 4 psi caused by the door blowing in, the front door blowing in, for example, well, if the internal pressure of the house is like 4 or 5 psi, higher than, standard temperature and pressure, which is 14.7 pounds per square inch, and it goes to 20 psi because the front door blew in and your ears are popping you better hurry up and run to open up that window or door on the leeward side of the house. In this case, the east side. If the winds are coming out of the east, hitting the east side of your house, then you open up a window or so on the west side of your house. So in case, some windows or whatever blows in on the wind side of the house, the windward side, the wind will blow through your house and go out the back door. If you don't have the back door open, the front door blows in, chances are you're going to lose your roof. And it'll literally blow off. And if the roof blows off, then the whole interior of your house is going to be a wreck. Because if you have no roof, all the rain and high winds and everything, it'll just rip that house apart. Not quite the same ravaging as these flash fires, that are happening in Palisades, California. God, it's terrible. You can see a chopper dropping hundreds of, maybe thousands of gallons of seawater there. Now he'll fly over to the Pacific Ocean, pick up seawater on his next trip. They go around and around. So he's dropped his water. He's getting ready to make a right turn to head back over to the Pacific Ocean to pick up another 1,000 gallons of water and then ride back through there. And it's amazing, how effective that is of putting out the flames. There was a video of this shot right here, and you can see when that water hits these burn areas, it goes dark. Then the police can get in there with the hoses and make sure there's no hidden hot spots that can, cause it to flare up again. The whole idea is to keep it so, that Mother Nature gets ameliorated by some smart fire techniques. But I think the mayor of, Los Angeles is in for huge penalties. I don't know if it's criminal negligence, but it sure to hell is negligence. I mean, Fox is covering it like crazy. Malibu's gone. All this waterfront property on Malibu, it's all gone. It's rubble. It's just hard to even, imagine. And the commercial buildings, gone. If you were parked in a parking lot next to, in the shopping center, the street parking, boom, cars are gone. Because, these people ran for their lives. And you've got these fires, and, they're being blown with 70 or 80 mile an hour winds. Oh, that's like a blast furnace. And you're talking temperatures up to, 2,000 degrees. Well, at least 24 people are dead in the Los Angeles area. They're having a little bit of a break in the weather in a couple of days, but starting today, wind's going back up. Tomorrow, going to be 70-mile-an-hour winds again. They're running out of things to burn. Here's a little image of some way of keeping your bananas from browning out when you get them. So the trick is here, the reason why I have this showing is you don't just wrap them in foil. But you'll notice when you have a bunch like here with a bunch of 3, bunch of 8, you see a lot of bunches of 8. It's 2 rows of 4 bananas on the side of the big flower stalk that pops out of the middle of a banana tree and then folds over. What reminded me of this trick is to you take a razor blade or a very sharp knife. I mean a really sharp knife, and they usually chop off these little bunches so that it has some brown, has an inch, of brown stalk that's attached to the bunch of bananas. And they've learned to cut it with that so that it has some, brown, well, it's, live meat, hard trunk meat. So you slice it on 3 or 4 sides so that it's fresh meat, of the flower stalk of the banana. Then you take a paper towel and cut it into, or break it up into like these squares. This is like 5-inch square. And you fold that, like this. And you stick the top edge of that banana underneath the foil in this little cup thing. Pull it over again. And then douse it with water. Your tap water is fine. And then wrap this with the foil. In other words, if you just wrap it with foil, that's, a certain degree of what that's doing is it's trapping whatever moisture's in that pulp area. At least it's preventing it from evaporating so that stump part doesn't dry out. But if you take the additional step of cutting off a piece of paper towel or breaking it apart, if it has the serrations, wrap that trunk area with wet paper towel and then enclose it in the foil so that wet paper towel stays wet or moist. And you'll be surprised how nice that yellow, when you get them, it has green tinge up here and a green tinge down the ends of the bananas each end. But if you do what I just said, when it ripens on your countertop, it'll turn all this nice bright yellow because you put a little moisture in there, and that makes the banana ripen more completely, and it makes for a very flavorful banana. Yes, sir. If you wrap the ends in a moist paper towel, and then you wrap that with foil. I mean, you could use saran wrap if that's really convenient. I always keep a couple of squares, 4-inch, 5-inch squares of foil laying around the, where you have your super convection oven. I keep the aluminum foil out so when you're cooking a pumpkin pie or something like that, and you see the top of the pie kind of burning because of the super convection, you just put foil over the top. Well, it's the last 15 or 20 minutes of the cooking until you stick your stick in there and it comes out clean. If you stick your stick in there and it comes out with some pumpkin on it, then it's not cooked in the middle. And you want to make sure it gets hot enough so that it cooks up. Because remember, you've got a full can of pumpkin, and you got a can of evaporated milk, can of pumpkin, 14-ounce can of pumpkin. My cats love pumpkin out of the can. Your dog will too. Cats and dogs love the raw pumpkin that you pull out of the can that you put in when you're going to make a pumpkin pie. Yeah. Crazy. Anyway, when you're cooking a pumpkin pie, sometimes if the top half of your super convection oven, like air frying or whatever, gets, a little too hot, or the outside of the pie is cooking faster than the inside of the pie, which is always the case, and you don't have a pie shell on top, or whether you have it on top or not, I keep some aluminum foil in there nearby so that for the last 15 or 20 minutes of the cooking, if you have a pumpkin pie that takes 50 minutes, put a little aluminum foil over the top of that pumpkin pie, and then it won't burn. It'll get a nice deep brown color. And if you have a pastry shell over the top end of the pie, which I occasionally do, so you have a bottom crust and a top crust. But the top crust can burn also. I mean, I'm, not like ignite, like flame burn. Just, it's like if you leave something in the toaster a little too long. It turns kind of an ugly, burnt look. Yeah. You can save your pie from that by just putting a little piece of aluminum foil over the top. And it tends to reflect the heat away from the top edge of the pie. Yep. So even though the aluminum foil is creating an air pocket underneath it, the idea is to have the aluminum foil reflect the heat away from the top of the pie towards the top of the oven. It works. Believe me. Try it. You'll like it. So that's my little story on. I didn't quite have a full story on this. Wrapping tin foil around top of the bananas. They forgot the part where you put the paper towel in there. Yeah. Maybe that's a Jimmyism. And you also slice. This article didn't have any of this. You slice, the sides and the top of the hard stalk of the banana so that it's fresh and open. And then you put a wet paper towel on there, and that allows the moisture to get in the plant, in the banana, in that fruit. Because the longer the moisture, when those bananas are cut, they're going to ripen fast and, get overripe perhaps. But if you do that little bit with the aluminum foil and wet paper towel, a quarter, a 4-inch piece of paper towel folded over, soak it in the faucet, and then wrap it around the banana, and then wrap the foil around that. And you got a nice little wetness area underneath the foil. And that moisture gets in the banana and makes for a more even ripening process. And that's why those bananas are nice, even yellow skin. When you get them, each ends, could be greenish. And that's, they pick the bananas, a little bit green. So when they cut them and box them and so forth, and they, survive the transportation from, the banana fields of the tropics to the grocery store, all over the country. This is what you do to make the last week of that banana fruitful, and makes for a very attractive and flavorful banana. Because if it has that nice even yellow, that fruit inside is going to be really, really good. And it's a very healthy thing to eat. It's a high protein, natural enzymes that get absorbed in your body. These supplements that you can take are really quite valuable because they are super complex, biochemistry that, it's hard to repeat, with a pill. Some supplements are really very, like balance of nature. Unless you just arrived from the planet Pluto, you must have seen the Balance of Nature commercial, where you got the green bottle and the red bottle, and it has capsules in there. And now I've recently noticed that they have opened up the capsules, so you can see the dried, pulverized fruit capsule, the reddish one. And what they do, I used to do this in college. If you can hardly believe this. I made instant coffee before instant coffee made instant coffee. I just didn't have the brains to commercialize it, but I was doing it. I was a laboratory student, in the 60s and mid 60s. So, you're up all night cooking some experiment in the laboratory, in the university laboratory. And I was a lab instructor. So I was conducting these experiments that pretty much go 24/7. You had to have a lab guy in, at all hours of the night and early morning. A lot of times to be there till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, cooking up this whatever it was. So the reason why I'm saying that is, in order to stay awake as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, finishing the last couple of years in the university, you got to stay up all night. Well, that may require a cup of coffee or two. I could be good. I could be good for 3 cups of coffee. So what I did is, I made 14-inch cups of coffee. I added the amount of milk I'd put in there, which is, the 14-ounce serving of fresh coffee, super fresh coffee, right when it's done brewing. I'd add milk to it, which is what I do, and I'd add a tablespoon or 2 of sugar, mix it up the way I like it, and then put it in the freezer. I'd make half-gallon jugs, what I just said, of coffee, the way I like to eat it, drink it, and then freeze it. So now you got a frozen block of, beige ice, and freeze it real cold. Get it down to like minus 20. And, in a laboratory, you have the ability to freeze things at super low temperatures. Your typical refrigerator will go down to, minus 6 or something. Let's see. Let's see if I have the app Nest, N-E-S-T. There it is. Hopefully I've already logged into Nest on this. I have. Thank the Lord. So that blue 72 is my living room temperature. So you can see A. I have A there, see A. Go all the way over, 72 degrees. There's a dot next to it, which means that's the temperature at the thermostat. Now if I scroll up a little bit, look what it tells you. B is the master bedroom. Or C, master bedroom. 71 degrees. I have these little sensors. They're about this big around. They're round discs, about 2 inches in diameter and about 1 inch tall. They take a 3-volt lithium photo battery. I forget the number. It's like a CR72 or something like that. CR something or other. It's a round battery. It's a stubby little thing. No more than the top end of your pinky. It's not a round disc. It's got the shape of a battery, but it's like a half a battery. It's a lithium cell that fits inside this sensor. And I have one in the guest room. I have one in the master bedroom. And guess what? I have one in the freezer. And see all the way over there, minus 5. It says this room has been slow to respond and it is cooler than usual. No, it's not a room. That's like automatic text that comes out of the Nest operating system. So I put freezer in there. I had to type that in, but you could put rooms. You could type in the name of the room. And notice on D up there, it says guest room credenza. I have it actually in a credenza. So it's, that's the temperature inside the credenza. And it's 69 degrees. So when it's 72 in the living room, it's 69 degrees in the guest room. A lot of our guests like it nice and chilly. So that's handy. It's a room closest to the central air system. So you get a lot of pressure coming through that vent. Now I could close that vent down a little bit, which would have the effect of increasing the temperature of the guest room. But I'll just leave it to where it is. I like it that it's 3 degrees lower than the thermostat. Yeah. And the freezer of our freezer, the freezer side of our duplex refrigerator, I think it's a 28 kilofoot refrigerator. Good size for our apartment. -5. And the refrigerator side of the duplex refrigerator is 42 degrees. Yeah, that's a little warmer than I would like. I'm going to have to check the setting on that refrigerator, or maybe move that sensor around a little bit so that it samples a cooler part of that refrigerator. I would like that at 39 degrees, 37 to 39. It's warm enough so things won't freeze. Because you don't want your vegetables freezing, because then they'll turn nasty. But you want those veggies cold, so they stay in the refrigerator and don't spoil. You got 4 or 5 days for fresh veggies, and then they're ready for the trash heap. So you got to eat this stuff up, Anyway, so you can see the thermostat, which is, this thing that's on the side of the wall, looks circular, like this. See the blue around this whole thing? It turns blue when the cooling system is on. If I turn the temperature up here, then the air conditioner will stop. The fan will keep spinning, but the compressor will go off. I have the fan spinning 24/7. So the compressor goes on and off, but the fan is always blowing. That way the air is always moving. The air filter has the tendency to pull the very small particulate matter out of the air. You're in a closed-up apartment. I want the air moving all the time. So that way the filter, I change the filters out once a month. They say every 3 months. I change them out every month to make sure there's good flow through all the vents. All right, that's my little story about my thermostat. This is a Nest thermostat. Watch, we'll turn it up and it will turn gray instead of blue. There you go, put it up to 75. Now the compressor will stop. Oops, see, now it turns gray. And you see the circular fan thing is still on, which verifies the fact that I keep the fan blowing at all times. So now I can go back to 73. That's 73 and a half. You get 2 clicks per temperature. So when it gets up to 72 and a half, the compressor is going to kick on, and then this screen will turn blue, telling you that your compressor is running. Yeah. The outside temperature is 77. I see it right down here. You see where my hand's pointing? 77. And the temperature of the inside the house at the thermostat is 70.5. Yeah, 70.5. I've got the vents, half the fence. I have an 85-inch big screen TV. That sucker throws off a little bit of heat. So I've got in the living room area where I had this 85-inch screen, which essentially fills up a lot of that wall. I used the iPhone's alternate reality to see, when you step back from the couches, and I have this big blank wall, which we're going to put the TV, and hang it on the wall. I wanted to see if our wall could handle an 85-inch TV, and it would look, I don't want it jammed up against the ceiling. Can I have it a foot off the ceiling, and have it look, picture framed, on the wall? An 85-inch TV fits perfectly. The guy wanted to mount it lower. I says, no, get it up. How about that? I said, nope, a little higher. I wanted a 12 inches. I got him to 14 inches. He was stuck on having it low. I said, I'm going to have a half a hutch under this TV. And Marilyn's going to put knickknacks and stuff on there. And I don't want it blocking the screen. So get it up 12 inches from the ceiling. Okay? And you got it 12 inches from the molding instead of 12 inches from the actual ceiling. That's all right. Close enough. So we don't have too much looking over there right now. Everything is, I got about 14 inches. There's 14 inches of room for Marilyn to put her knickknacks and bowls and stuff that's under the TV. We have like a half a cabinet that goes up, 40 inches off the floor. And then you got about 14 inches. And then is the bottom edge of the TV. Yeah. But I actually use the alternate reality feature of the iPhone. And I set it up for an 85-inch screen, diagonal, with a 16:9 aspect ratio. You can specify all that stuff with the alternate reality. And then you stand there. I was standing there behind the couch, and I held my phone up, and I could see what an 85-inch screen would look like on the wall. Would it fit? Would it reasonably fit? So that the TV doesn't have to be jammed all the way up to the top of the ceiling, which would be too high. Because then it would look kind of goofy, at daytime. At nighttime, it wouldn't matter. Because, you look up, and you wouldn't notice that it's really on the ceiling if you had that, all the way to the ceiling. Anyway, so this is like perfect. Yeah. It was like, I bought this Samsung 8000 series. It was on sale for $1,800, $17.99 at Best Buy, of all places. and I signed up for the $200 installation. You know, the wise guys come over, and the bracket was $200. So it cost me $400 to install 85-inch TV. So the total cost was around $2,300, including wire and taxes. So the sales tax on a big TV. Yeah, so 6%, 6.5%, whatever it is. So I've got big screen TVs on all the wall, on both bedrooms and the living room. Yeah. It's a very nice way to have your TVs installed on your walls instead of sitting on a piece of furniture, because then you can't have any knickknacks on top of that. Hang the TV allows you for some flowers, plants, knicky-knackies, whatever. Anyway, so that's the Nest app, which you can see on your screen right there. And the temperature in the freezer is -6. Temperature in the refrigerator, 42. The inside humidity is 51 degrees, relative humidity. Outside temperature is 77 degrees. And the outside humidity is 67%, according to this display down here in the corner. In my little room here, it's probably because I'm blowing a lot of hot air with my conversation. The relative humidity in here is, in this studio room, is 54 degrees relative humidity and 70.5 degrees. Yeah, good. I turned up the temperature in the living room to like 73. So this room, yeah, it sees a little 73 in the corner. Yeah. That's the only way I could get the temperature in the studio up, you know, at 70. It's usually 68.5. I pulled the temperature up 2 degrees so I don't freeze my body. All right. Let's get rid of some of these closed Nest, Associated Press. Close that. So I looked up fire hydrants. Close fire hydrants. Close settings. Get back to photos. A friend of mine was asking how come he wanted to know how the full self-driving version 13 is. It's really quite a step. You know, they had version 11 a couple of years ago, then they had version 12, and that's version 12.1 and 12.2 and 12.3. Well, it's 13.22 now. Well, the migration from the 12 series autopilot to the 13 is a big jump in confidence. The automated self-driving feature, although they call it, you know, FSD, full self-driving, they call it full self-driving supervised, which means you have to maintain focus on the windshield, you know, on what's going on in front of you. And in case autopilot doesn't quite measure up to, you know, the road circumstances to your satisfaction and safety, then you grab the steering wheel and put your foot on the brake or the accelerator, you know, and, or the decelerator, as the case may be, But the full self-driving feature with version 13.22 is a big step forward in the automated steering of the Tesla vehicle. Yeah, it's really quite good. It's got 8 cameras. It's got a supercomputer situation. In the computer that's behind the dashboard. It's got a 15.5-inch LCD screen, color, of course, and that's mounted kind of in the middle of the dashboard, all the way across in the middle. And what the idea is that you can all be watching a movie or something or other while the car takes you to wherever the hell you want to go. You type in the address of where you want to go and put it in full self-driving mode, and it'll take off. It will. It accelerates, but it's a lot smoother process. Version 12 was a little chunky. When you're driving up to a car behind, you're driving up, to a car that's ahead of you. It kind of races to the back end of that car, and it stops in time, but it's too aggressive. I want you to start slowing down sooner than what's going on with the auto driving feature. Well, they've ironed that out, so now it's a more gentle braking arrangement when you're coming up to a car that's ahead of you. Yeah. And when it, goes up to speed, it doesn't rocket up to speed. It gently increases the velocity of the car. And there's 3 settings. Chill, which means, an 80-year-old driving, slow, so to speak, which is me. And it's got normal, which is like a 40-year-old driving. And then it's like, sport, which means this thing rockets around. And when you touch on the accelerator, it goes. It's very aggressive with acceleration and deceleration. I do not have it in sport mode. It's too aggressive for me. I have it set to chill. Yeah. Because it more closely resembles the comfortable way in which I drive a car. And to me, the chill mode on the Model Y Tesla is a very comfortable automatic driving vehicle. You don't feel like you're in danger at all. It inches up into an intersection when it's trying to make a left-hand turn. So it doesn't stay back. It inches up gradually, traffic permitting, of course. And when it sees that there's no cars that are going to, interfere with you making your left turn, it'll make the left turn. And it does it beautifully and ends up in the proper lane when the turn is complete. And it's much more human in the way in which it handles, the aggressive nature of the driving. So version 13 is really quite good. It's a big step from version 12. It's not a baby step. It's a significant step to the better. Yeah. So when it gets to version 14, it's going to be full self-driving, and they will not have supervised on there. And of course, they're getting ready for California and Texas to get the approval from the highway division of the state of Texas. I'm sure they're going to come into Florida next because we're ready for it, and we have a very favorable governor who is all in favor of this full self-driving. Excuse me while I take a sip of tea to wet my whistle, as they say. Yep, here's my Tesla key. See the silicone doodad here? It's the size of a credit card. It's red with a big T on it. And here's my on the Windows side of this little slim silicone cover with a clear plastic front. It's my business card. So what's that all about? Well, if you lose it, you have a chance of getting it back because it's got my name and address, my email address, my cell phone number, although I call it desk. And it's also handy when you give it to the valet guy, because then he'll know that this is the key for Jimmy's Tesla. There's my logo for my photo business. Yeah. Anyway, so I have another one of these in black, and this is my Visa debit card. It's in here, and you got these little markings, right there I'm pointing to, which means that you just tap it on the cash register, and I say, tap that corner on your register, and it'll read all the numbers on the card, and you don't have to swipe the card. And you can leave it in my plastic container. So that way, it makes it more difficult for them to clone my card. I've had my card cloned on occasion. One occasion. It was about 10 years ago, actually. And a waitress, you'd hand the waiter or the waitress your card, and they'd walk it up to the register, right? So this was in a different restaurant, one which is one of our favorites, and we bought lunch. I bought lunch for myself and somebody. So I hand her my card so she can pay the bill. They show you the bill, and then then they take the bill back with your credit card, and the presumption is they swipe it in the cash register, pays your bill, and what she was doing then is she had a little thing on her attached to her belt, and she'd slide it on it across that, and it would copy the mag strip, so that then they could make a fake card, a cloned card, and go shopping on your debit card. Yeah, they go shopping with your card. Well, it happened to me one time, and we caught him. It was a lady. It was a lady waitress from Brazil, of all places. And it was an American Express card. And I told them the exact time and date that I gave her my card, and they could track all the expenses after that time and date, and they just gave me refunds for everything. And it was like $17,000 worth of charges. Holy crap. Oh, an American Express is not like, it's not tied to a debit card. It's a credit card. And you pay that off every month. Well, the bill went up to $17,000. I said, no. That's not me. The charge is up until 1:36 p.m. on Friday are not my charges. So they would take that information over the phone and send me a new card right away. They'd FedEx it overnight. They'd immediately pay the card down for that $17,000. And then they'd send the information, which I had to sign an affidavit saying all these charges are not mine. And, you print them out and attach it and send the whole package back. And you're done. And then they tried to, and then they trapped the girl, this lady that had all these cloned cards. But, they'd clone the card and do cash advances and all this stuff. Yep. Crazy. But that was actually quite a while ago. That was probably 15 years ago. I haven't had a card cloned since. You can go on a Chinese website. A lot of these websites, for buying, quality discounted merchandise comes directly out of China. And the device that you put on your belt for cloning cards, you can Google it right now. Clone your credit card. Just say that, into your web browser, and it will take you to these Chinese sites. It's about $140 for this cloning device. Yeah. I mean, there's a legitimate reason for having such a device. For example, let's say you have a lot of credit cards. There was a time where I had 10 or 12 credit cards. But, I didn't use them all. I'd use like 3, But let's say your card cracked on the top edge or something. Not enough to interfere with the mag strip. Well, you go ahead and clone that card, because it may crack in half. Now you get a hold of American Express and ask for a replacement. Now some of these companies, when you do a replacement card, I just ordered one a couple of days ago, and they put it in the mail, and you get it, like they say 7 to 10 days. Well, it could be 4 days, but they say 7 to 10 days. Well, if this is a card you use all the time, and you got to wait 10 days, American Express, it was always overnight delivery. If your card is lost, stolen, or cracked, let's say just worn out from use, or abuse, by waiters or waitresses. Their machine chewed up my card, or they whipped it too hard and caused it to crack, or scratched the mag strip, and it wouldn't be any good anymore. So, anyway, the little device is $135 on the internet. Clone my credit card. That's all you got to say into your iPhone, where it says microphone, so you don't have to type it. But if you're typing it, clone my credit card. Yeah, you see them, $140. Have one of your very own. Another legitimate purpose for having such a thing, other than stealing other people's credit card information. Because, it pulls all the information. The 3-digit code on the back, I think all of it gets in there. So you can be charging away. And when you buy stuff with Amazon, you can just type all the numbers in. You don't have to swipe. Matter of fact, there actually isn't a way to swipe, I don't think, unless you got a swipe input on your Windows computer. I don't think there's a swiping device available for MacBook Pros. I don't think what do you call it? I don't think Apple approves of having such a device. A card reader. Unless you have special software, if you're a retailer and you set up your own computer and you got swiping stations for 2 or 3 checkout clerks on your coffee shop or whatever. Yeah. The other legitimate use would be is if you want to refresh. In other words, if your mag strip is getting tired, you got to swipe it a couple of times before the typical cash register could read it, is you can rewrite. You can erase the mag strip and rewrite it with a fresh magnetic signal. And then you'll find that they don't have to swipe the card 3 or 4 times to get it to read in your typical cash register. Or debit card, credit card paying. But you can refresh the cards. Yeah, that's the legitimate reason for it. The illegitimate is just swiping everybody's card in the restaurant, and then you go out on a shopping spree, and then get your ass back to, Paraguay or Uruguay or whatever. In my case, it was South America. Yeah. That was like 15 years ago. Can you believe it? Here's the new Tesla Model Y. It looks very much similar to what I'm driving right now, except you see the white band? That's your headlights. Your whole headlight system is in that white band. Pretty cool, huh? It has the brightness, it's all, the highest tech light emitting diodes, with parabolic mirrors behind the high power light emitting diode. Yeah. And they've smoothed out the trunk a little bit in the front, so the sweep of air is a little more gentle, and they're getting the coefficient of drag down to 0.29, which is pretty good for your basic SUV. Yeah. The backlights have been changed a little bit too. There's a red strip all the way across. I don't know if I have. No, I don't have the back end of the Model Y showing yet. It's available. You can order it now. The Model Y Juniper. Juniper. Model Y Juniper. They don't change the models very often because everything electronic in that car, they can update over the air because the car is locked. The car is, when you enter the car and you're ready to drive it, which means you take your foot off the brake and press down on the accelerator pedal, whether you're in drive or reverse. As soon as you take your foot off the brake pedal and apply some energy onto the accelerator pedal, you'll either go forwards or backwards as you choose. Yeah. There's no on switch for the car. The on switch is basically your phone is your key. They keep on telling you, your phone is your key in the videos. And don't forget, your phone is your key. You hear that 12 times or so. When you buy the car, there are like 4 or 5 videos they ask you to watch. Remember, your phone is your key. Geez. By the time you watch the 5 videos, you've heard that 50 times. Yeah. So, the way the car works is that as you approach your car, the entire car will unlock, or the driver's side door only. You have a choice. I have it set up for driver's side only. And then when I open the door, I push another button to open all the other doors, assuming I have a guest riding with me. But if I don't have anyone riding with me, then all I do is get close to the car. The driver's side door is automatically unlocked. I just get in and sit down. And then I push the lock button. Yeah. It's that simple. So the car knows when you approach the car. About 14 feet away, as I recall. So when you approach the car and you're within 14 feet, the door's going to unlock. Unless you have a setting that says, don't unlock the car, until I pull on the handle. There's a little handle on the side of the door that you use to pull the door open with. So they've added a rear for the back 2 seats. You got the 2 front seats and then 2 back seats. They've added an 8-inch touchscreen to the rear, available for the rear seated passengers in your vehicle. And that screen could be used either for entertainment, searching the web or setting up the flow of air conditioning for the back region of the car. They've also added ventilated front seats to the Juniper. The front seats have holes punctured all throughout the entire fabric, leather or leatherette material. It's like virgin leather. I think that's what they call it. It's actually some kind of vinyl. We've got white seats. So you can see the perforation holes. The entire seat cushion is perforated. The bottom seat and the back. So when you're sitting in the car driving for, let's say, a half hour, you're not going to have a sweaty back, like the back of your shirt is like almost sweaty because your body has been resting back on the backrest, and it gets hot, and maybe you have some perspiration. Well, with these ventilated seats, your body, your skin temperature will be kept cool instead of hot. It's part of the air conditioning. So you turn the air warmer, and then the seats can ventilate warm air, which is quite helpful if you're in cold climates. You can pre-warm the seats so that when you get in and sit down, you're not sitting on a seat that's 15-degree temperature and you freeze your butt. I used to live in a cold country, and I remember getting in a cold car. Whew. And when everything is cold, it's not a comfortable way of getting in and out of a car. But with the Teslas, you can warm the car up, in a cold climate, so that when you get in your car, it's nice and toasty warm. The steering wheel is warmed, the seats are warmed, the air in there is warmed, everything is warmed. And if you're in a cold country, vice versa. The seats are cooled, the bottom seat is cooled, the back of the seat is cooled. There's airflow that you can control around your legs and anywhere from your chest to your head or above can blow cool air at a variety of different, fan speeds, if you will. They also added a new steering wheel, which is probably a little bit smaller in diameter because the actuators for turning the wheel reacts to the angle and the velocity of your steering. And it's going to be steer-by-wire very soon, which means there won't be a mechanical linkage to the steering actuators. It'll just be digital signals that get sent to the actuators, which make your wheels turn left or right. If you're going to make a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn, or keep your car in the middle of the white lines as you go forward. Yeah, your manipulation of the steering wheel, not today, but soon, is going to be called fly-by-wire, which in airplanes, when you turn the steering wheel in a cockpit of an airplane, that affects the rudder, of your airplane, which makes you, essentially turn left or turn right, with your foot pedals, affecting the ailerons. So when you turn an airplane, you not only turn the rudder, because it's not two-dimensional when you're flying, you're three-dimensional. So when you're going to make a turn, so if you have a glass of water on a tray table, when you turn, you use your rudders, which is available on your foot pedals. You do if you're going to make a right turn, you're going to dip the right wing and increase the angle of the left wing. And you turn like this. And if you're going to turn left, the same thing, it goes like this. So you have a rudder and ailerons. The ailerons are attached to your foot pedals with actuators. It's not a mechanical linkage with the foot pedals on the actuators, on the ailerons. And the same thing with the steering wheel of a airplane. The steering wheel is not actually connected to rods going all the way back to the back of the plane, moving the rudder so you can turn left or right, lining yourself up on the runway, and lining yourself on the runway when you're taking off, or if you're landing. Yeah. The most exciting thing about flying an airplane, I mean, I've said this to a few people, and they get mad at me when I say it. When they're captains of airplanes. I have some friends of mine that are captains of airplanes. Yeah. Sometimes they're just a private pilot trained captain of their airplane. Or they're a certified FAA captain of an airplane. Which is one friend I'm thinking of. And anyway, so, when you're around people like that, you have to be a little more cautious about what you say critically about, air flight. Because they've spent thousands of hours, flying, and flying isn't cheap per hour. It could be $50, $100 an hour, depending on what kind of airplane you're flying, and whether you own the airplane or not. I mean, I have someone I know that has a $5 million airplane that's worth $2 today. They depreciate also more rapidly than cars, but they last longer than cars because they're usually under very strict maintenance contracts. Yeah. Anyway, he's got a twin-engine jet. It's a Cessna 510. Cessna makes more than these little rickety-dickety single prop engine planes. The Cessna 510 is a twin engine jet that seats, I think, 7 behind the captain and the co-pilot. Now, if you're flying your family, you don't need a pilot and a co-pilot. But if you're flying 4 or 5 passengers and they're paying you to fly you from Boca Raton to New York City, for example, you'd be a certified captain, under the FAA, and you need a co-pilot also that sits next to you. When you have a twin-engine jet, you need a pilot and a co-pilot. If for no other reason, other than the FAA regulation, is that, if you got to go to the toilet, you got the co-pilot then is going to take over control of the airplane while you're going potty or visiting with the passengers in the back. It's seat 7. 2 facing this way, 2 people facing that way, and 3 along the back edge. That's 7. Where you could have 3 rows of seats with an aisle down the middle. That's 6. And then the jump seat in the back is for 1 person. In the back there is where the head is. Yep. The head is in the tail. Yeah, boy, oh boy. Oh my God. Pacific Palisades. The entire beachfront is burnt out. Driving all the way up the Pacific Coast Highway. The PCH, as they call it. I'm seeing aerial photographs here on delayed video. The entire... Oh, God. This is billions of dollars worth of property. Billions with a B. They now measure the loss with these fires at 150 billion in property loss. Oh my God, and vehicle loss. I mean, you got a lot of Rolls Royce and Bentleys, they're in garages. And the people may be in Europe or something or other. And they come back and their house is gone. And you can see the crinkled remains of your Bentley because the garage is gone. Your house is gone. Maybe you got a chimney, from ground up 30 feet. You got chimney poles, some surrounding concrete, barriers. If you got a wall around your house. And a lot of these $5, $6, $7, $8 million houses, there's one half burnt. Two-story thing. For some reason or other just didn't burn. There was a fellow on TV, and he was on his roof. And the reason how he kept his house from burning is he had a hose going all the time while that fire was around his house. He'd constantly be hosing off his roof. So these little burning embers that would jump from house to house, he'd be spraying his foliage and spraying the side of his house and spritzing the roof. I think he put sprinklers on top of the roof. And then he had a separate hose where it was constantly washing down the foliage and hosing down the walls of the house. And he had everything burned out around him, and his house is not burnt. Well, that's how it became not burnt. He stayed there and kept hosing it down. Oh, God. The devastation is just terrible. And the cars in the street are all burnt. They're parked in the street. You got the curb. You got the street itself. You got sidewalks. And the cars are just burnt. It's like the city got nuked. Just, oh, God. So, they don't want to give people the ability to go check out their properties because they could be stepping on bodies, and they're discovering more and more bodies. They're up to 24 of them. They're basically French fries. They got locked in their house, You got these forest fires that flare up. And, let's say you got a guy bedridden. You can't get out of the bed without help. And the help takes off. And you're there by yourself. And you can't get out of your hospital type bed that's in your house. So the house goes and you go with it. Because there was no way of getting somebody that's inambulatory out of the house. So you see the wheelchair and, some crutches, and you see a burnout body on the floor of the room where his posturepedic bed was. So, there's a lot of looting going on because there's some areas that are either immediately adjacent to the burnout areas or the burnout areas themselves where they're stealing stuff. Stealing keys. They go into a house that, had a wall safe, in the second story or wherever. And that's on the ground because the whole place is burnt. So they're stealing the entire wall safe that's just sitting in the ashes on the dirt of your plot of land where your house was, because the house is gone. So the wall safe is now on the floor, and the stuff inside could be toast, But rubies and diamonds and gold bracelets and coins and whatever, they don't burn. So they just steal the whole safe. Put it in the trunk of their car and ride off with it. And figure out how to get in the safe, in their garage. Assuming they're bad guys. There's 24 people arrested with what they would call looting. Yeah. And these $5-10 million houses, they got downstairs safes, they got upstairs safes. They keep extra cash, and they keep, jewelry, watches, gold coins, precious metals, stuff, I had a friend who had a girlfriend who lived up around in the, on one of the holes of where they play the Masters. And she's got a house there. And so my friend Bill, he's dating this lady who's the wife, the husband and wife team that created Western Sizzler. Well, that became a big chain, and they became very wealthy. And she has like $200 million in cash in one of the big Atlanta banks. $200 million in cash, and another $200 million in the company that owns Western Sizzler, or the company that used to own Western Sizzler. Anyway, she got bought out, and now she's 70. She was like 78. Bill brought her into my bank. I was senior officer of the bank in Boca Raton. So he brings her in. She wants to open up accounts. So, I'm talking to her because she wants to, bring a couple $1 million of money, make a deposit in our bank, open up new accounts. So she said, Bill, would you please excuse us while we carry on with this business? So he got up and went and sat in the lobby while she's opening, because I was asking her, I was talking about her, can I see your driver's license? Make a copy of it, and she'd tell me about herself. I'm reciting it here too. And she didn't want me to divulge her age to Bill, because he was under the impression that she was a younger woman than 79 years old. Oh, God. Because he was like 60-something, and she was 70-something, and she didn't want him to know that she's like 12 years older than he is. But she had all kinds of, tummy tucks and all that stuff. So she looked younger. So she didn't want him to know her birthday. And she said, "No, Jimmy, you have to keep my birthday private." I said, "Everything about your business is private. I would never divulge your business to another party unless you told me to. And you'd have to direct me to do that in writing. So everything about your account. As far as I'm concerned, no one even knows that you have an account with us." And someone called us and said, I understand that you have the accounts for Nora. That's her first name. I'm not going to tell you the last name. Anyway. So if someone called the bank and said, I understand you have accounts with Nora, and she's now, under indictment, or I'm making all this up now. And the newspaper calls me up and says, "Oh, by the way, I understand you have accounts with Nora." And, the call came in to some lower level, banking assistant. And they wouldn't answer questions to the newspaper. They got directed to me. I said, anybody calls from the newspapers, you put the call into me. I don't want you guys handling them. Because this way, it gets handled one way. And since I'm the only one that talks to the media, okay? Send out a memo or something. They don't want to handle the calls anyway. So, oh yeah, pass it up to Jimmy. So I take the calls. And this one local newspaper, in Fort Lauderdale, calls me up and says, "I understand." And I said, "Ma'am, I don't know who you are, but it doesn't matter. Because I would never divulge to you anything about the accounts of the gentleman that you just mentioned. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to tell you that this gentleman has any accounts with our bank. I'm not permitted to divulge anything about anyone else's accounts. Period." She says, "Well, if you don't tell me, I'm just going to make it up." I said, "Well, have at it." I said, "As far as I'm concerned, whoever you just mentioned may not even have accounts here. I'm required by federal law not to divulge anything about a bank customer's business, anything. How long they've been in the bank, how this or that, nothing. You can't even divulge that the accounts are in the bank, much less what's in them." And that's how you have to answer those calls. And if they're going to make it up, have at it, make it up. I said, "I can't tell you." So I wouldn't tell you if I knew it. I mean, I'd have to, if I was going to look up someone's account, I'd have to look it up on my computer. I don't memorize. We got 10,000 accounts in the bank. And I don't know who they all are. I've met a lot of them, but I wouldn't tell you who they are. Even if you listed them out. Can't tell you. A federal officer called me and said, "I want to know about XYZ banking account." I said, "No, you send me, a certified letter requesting the information, and we'll answer it by certified. I can't divulge anything about an account holder. Now, if you have the ability, because you're a federal bank examiner, you can come into the bank and we'll give you a terminal and you can look up whatever you want to look up if you have the authority to do such. Otherwise, I'm not telling you over the phone." Nope. Not even if you were in the bank yesterday and now you call me on the phone today. And I'm supposed to recognize your voice. No can do over the phone. Because this could be someone else that sounds like you. I mean, they really, you sign a non-disclosure agreement. You literally sign a non-disclosure agreement as a senior bank executive stating that you will not disclose anything about any accounts that are held in your bank. Period. End of story. That's the way it's got to be. And you don't want to be caught doing that, because you can be in jail. And you'll certainly be terminated, but it could be worse, because that's a federal crime. Yes, sir. And it's a state crime in the state of Florida. It's a statutory crime. They can lock you up in one jail, and then when you get done with that one, then they can lock you up in the other jail. And I think federal prison has priority. You save their sentences first. You. That's true with bank everybody. Stockbrokers, any financial people. You can't talk to anybody else about your business. Nope. You can't even acknowledge that the accounts are held by your bank, much less qualitatively what's held and quantitatively what's held. Yeah. No. This Los Angeles fire thing is... I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but if there was ever a reason for criminal negligence, this is it. They have reservoirs that could hold water. The fire department is running 24/7, and when they're running all day or all night, and they hook up their hoses to fire hydrants. That's what the hell the fire hydrants are there for. They hook them up, they turn them on, there's no water. The hoses are empty. Now, how the hell are you supposed to fight a fire when the hoses are empty? Well, the governor of the state says, well, the fire hydrant is only good for, one or two houses. This is, this kind of a major outbreak. We're not set up for that. Well, bupkis. That's not what you sign up for. You are supposed to look after the personal welfare of your constituents and their property. You provide fire and police protection. You provide trash services. Oh boy. I'm looking up your page here, which I'm jiggling. The Defense Department pick, Peter Hegseth. He's a former Fox and Friends weekend host. Well, he resigned from that spot, and he was picked by Trump and the advance team to be the Secretary of Defense. And he's been widely criticized for his romantic escapades, put it that way. One woman filed charges against him, 10 or 15 years ago, and investigated him thoroughly. This police department in Southern California. And he apparently beat up this woman. She had bruises on her thighs, whatever. What could you call rough sex? Oh boy. When the media gets a hold of something like that, oh my God. Particularly unfriendly media. Well, he's facing, these committee meetings where he has to answer up to these charges. Plus, he was discharged from several funds that was money held in trust, a trust fund of some sort, and and he was like CEO of a couple of funds, and the board had to terminate him for mismanagement of the funds. You know, in a public fund that had a purpose, and the purpose was not him to mismanage the account. They assumed he could manage the account, represented himself as a, a fiduciary, I guess is the right word. And he had to be removed and terminated because of gross mismanagement of this fund. Two or three funds before he got the job at Fox. Now, also, he was... Oh, crap. Oh, that'll go to voicemail. My doctor just called me. Wow, it's Monday. They're checking up on a Friday appointment. Yeesh. I'll have to see that memo. All right, folks. Holy mackerel. I've been yakking away for 2 hours and 32 minutes. And since I've run out of gas talking about, this terrible business with these fires in California and the gross negligence of the city managers, mayors, hold on a minute. Hello? Yes.